travel with the Lord to different areas in your walk with Him, there comes a time where you walk alone. And it's by design of the Lord. Every last one of us go through it at some point. You will walk alone. Right. The danger in feeling that aloneness is to try to pull people who are not fit for the journey into it.
Right.
Because there you will experience not only frustration because those that are not called to that specific place, what they do is they not only feel the strain of going, they actually detest you for taking them.
Right, absolutely.
And you have to be careful in life. You know, one of the things that I tried to do as a parent is, even though I knew when my kids were making bad choices, I tried not to save them all the time.
Yeah.
I tried not to keep them from experiencing the brick wall.
Yeah.
And in doing that, sometimes, particularly mothers, you're more guilty of this than fathers. Even though I've seen some fathers who are actually worse than mothers. They won't just save their children from everything.
Yeah.
So therefore, when it gets to a point where they're not around their children can't operate.
Yeah.
It's like they get paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so I've always tried to put them in a position where, as they got older, you teach them. And as they get older, you try to allow them to work things out for themselves. And even, spiritually so, as a pastor, when people would come to me with issues and problems, it's very rare, and all of you that have ever come to me, it's very rare that you've ever gotten a straight answer from me. It's very rare because I really believe that a person's journey is theirs.
Yeah.
I think that, along the journey, you have guides, you have people who can guide you in it. But unless you fully experience it,
that's right,
you don't get from it what you need to get from it. And then what that in turn does is put you in a position where you have to keep going through it again, because God is never going to change because of us.
Right, that's right.
Don't let any preacher, I don't care if they're the greatest televangelist, they're the nicest, don't ever let them make you believe that you can change God's mind.
That's right.
God said, I am God and I change not.
Change not, that's right.
And for that reason, whatever He has ordained for us in life, you're going to go through it.
Right.
You're going to face it. And you got to remember, there are two stories in the Bible that really gives us the notion of how God treats journeys. And that is the journey that He sent Abram on to sacrifice his son, Isaac. And also the journey that you see with Jesus to the Garden of Gethsemane. Both times you see the person who is ordained for the journey trying to carry others with him. And it never works out.
Right.
Never. That person never becomes profitable in that area.
yeah,
And it's the most amazing thing. God had to teach me, why are you looking for prosperity from people who shouldn't have been there from the beginning?
Right.
Why are we looking for people to be prosperous and be profitable to ministry who should have never been in that position?
Yeah.
And Pastor Trevor, the Lord showed me something last night. It was the most amazing thing. I was getting ready for my bubble bath. I got the water steaming hot, bubbles high. I want to look like I'm drowning in it. And my wife was watching, what was that show called? It was the veterinarian people.
Chef the Mountain something that.
Yeah, he's in Denver, Colorado. He's the largest veterinarian in the world. He sees more animals than any other vet. And they were doing the dog had tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the dog had ACL surgery. But he was explaining the ACL and what it does. And immediately I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, leadership is not the neck, it's the ligaments.
Yeah.
Because leadership is how things move.
Yeah.
Without proper leadership, You can never get isn't it something that your thigh muscle is the largest and strongest muscle in your body? But without the connection that it gets from the ACL to the lower body, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You let your ACL go out, you through.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen, there was a movie, Friday Night Light, which is a story about the football team in, I think it was Odessa, Texas. And Boobie Miles was probably, might be top 3 running back ever in high school history. And Boobie Miles tore his ACL. And he wanted to get back so bad. And he was out running. And it's funny, you tear your ACL, you can run. You can do all that stuff. You just can't cut. You can't change direction. That's something to go anywhere in life. You can't go in a straight line. Life does not treat you straight. Life takes you in curves.
Yeah.
Your destination might be right there, but you can't go straight there. The road turns this way sometimes. You got to go around things.
True.
And our problem is that when we see something, we automatically think we just deserve to go straight to it, and God has given it to them. Isn't it something the children of Israel was told that they were given a land that was flowing with milk and honey?
Yes, they were.
Isn't that something for God to tell you that I prepared something so great, so wonderful for you, and you just got to get to it? And you just thinking, okay, well, we're coming out, let's go to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like us when we go to the?
Yeah.
We went by a car dealership on yesterday, just looking around at cars, and I saw a Corvette. And you know what? It was so easy for me to imagine myself opening the door, getting in, cranking up, and driving off and riding down the city with my shades on. You know, look at it. It was so easy. But you know what the hard thing was, Candace? That $49,000 tag that was on it.
Yeah. The hard part.
Let me tell you something. There's something about that $49,000 that did something to me.
Yeah.
It brought me back to a realization that something needed to happen outside of my desire.
Yeah.
See, our problem is you got too many desires and not enough process. You can't get where you're going off your desires.
Come on.
We want a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, you go to these car dealerships where they automatically approve you no matter what, you still gonna get approved at a price.
Yes. 3 times more than first.
You're gonna pay more for your bad credit.
Yeah.
Go there if you want to. I know I can get a car, you right. And they gonna get your money, and they gonna get more of your money than the car's worth.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yes, that's true.
I think we're down. This is something that I ask myself on a regular basis. And every now and then I have to ask myself this. Yes. I have to ask myself this on a regular basis because there are days, and all of us go through it, there are days when you just don't feel powerful.
Yeah.
You don't feel like your prayers are in the mode of accomplishing things. You don't feel like you're speaking and affirming the word of God has any weight to it. And I often ask myself on those days, I ask myself this question. That's the title of this particular portion of the Locked and Loaded series. And that is this: what ails you?
Yeah.
What ails you? All of us have something that ails us.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, why would you ask yourself that question? There are some days where I just feel, I don't know. When y'all were lifting your hands this morning and praising God, you know, I was observing for a reason. When you lift your hands and praising God, how did you feel?
Right.
You ever got that in that moment where you just felt like, oh, I'm in that vein and God is getting ready to do some things. And then you turn around 2 or 3 days later and you feel like God ain't doing nothing. He done retired.
Come on.
You know, replaced him with somebody that can't run the ball, that can't throw the ball.
That's real.
Just feels like we don't want to say it, but in our heart we're thinking, God, what are you doing? Because this ain't right.
Yes. Yes.
We feel like that sometimes.
Yes, we do.
And you know, and Sister Angela, I embrace it. I embrace feeling that. Because now I can ask myself, what ails you?
Yeah.
Because now I can see what is trying to lord over my life. Now we can sit and play fantasy church all we want to.
Yeah.
But there is something that all of us wrestle with that God ain't coming down to deliver you from.
Right.
Paul said it best. He said there's a thorn in my flesh. He said, I think it's sent from Satan. But if you ever notice, that was never confirmed. Because it wasn't sent from Satan. Some things come from the Lord. Sometimes the Lord is your ailment. Sometimes he's your pain. He's your inability to be comfortable. It's him. It is he who is keeping you up at night. You up there fighting in the spirit. In the name of Jesus, I pull it down. How can you pull God down when he's down, up, around, through, in, out? You can't move God. I hear people say, we just want the Lord to move. You can't move him.
That's right.
How you move something somewhere that's already there?
But that's right.
How do we do that? And it's so funny. We try to manipulate God so much.
That's right.
We do. We try to manipulate him. Children of Israel tried to do it. They tried to do it with their sad countenance, talking about the garlic and the onions that they had in slavery.
Right.
So they wanted to show God that, God, it's hot out here. The sun hot. We ain't got no water nowhere. You ain't did this. You know when you get used to complaining. Watch this. When you get used to complaining about things that are not necessity. Let's face the fact. Air conditioning is not a necessity.
It's not. All right.
As a matter of fact, the reason why some of you are going through the respiratory things you're going through is because of artificial air.
That's
the reason why you can't ever get straight.
That's real.
Jesus.
Lord, these sinuses. And you know why? Because you enjoyed the air.
That's true.
We were talking on yesterday how the kids don't even go outside no more.
Nope.
We got sent out the door
All day.
at 8 o'clock in the morning. Don't come back here at 6.
That's right. Drink some water out the spring.
6 in the wintertime, 8 in the summertime. Why? Because at 6 it gets dark sooner, so the lights come on at 6 p.m. In the summertime, it's a little later.
That's right.
And don't talk about you want some water and you going to the refrigerator to get a bottle of water.
Right.
Now you better go to the Spricket.
And you start the water hose.
Now let me tell you something. Spiders, bugs, and everything gonna crawl all over the end. But you know what? You didn't care. You just ran that water and talking about a video game. You better go outside and play Mortal Kombat with trees.
That's real.
Then some parents wonder, I know I was a good athlete in school. Why my child ain't no good? Because they've been in the house all day. Their muscles have drawn up. I mean, we've gotten to the point where it's so funny. We want God to be automated. We want a joystick God that we can move him how we want to. Lord, by your spirit, God. Lord, in the name of Jesus, move Sister Jenna May out of this position, God, because she's getting on my nerves. But the whole time, Jenna May is acting off God's impulse. And you trying to move God.
Come on.
And the whole time, God said, you can't move me.
I
can only move you. Now, when you're ready to move, Jenna May will move. But you don't ask things to change if you want it.
Preach.
We want to us.
Yes.
We want success to come to us.
Yes.
Not us work the process to get to it.
Yes.
Success is in its place, you not.
Yes.
I ain't telling nobody to play the lottery. You can't win the lottery if you don't play the
Come
lottery.
on. Okay. Yes, sir.
The numbers come up. Oh, those are my numbers, but you didn't go to the store and buy the ticket.
Like you
So guess what?
Yes. Pretty much.
I ain't telling y'all go out and play no lottery.
However, if you
Because you know y'all the preacher's sermon was on the lottery. The Lord is moving by his spirit. Never seek in manifestation what you have not fulfilled in obedience. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You'll be disappointed. There are more disappointed Christians because they have not sought in obedience what they want in manifestation.
Yeah.
I want God to work this out, but I am not working the thing.
Right.
God, the Bible says God hates an unjust balance. When you look at a scale, the justice system in theory, in the United States, if you look at the logo for the justice system, you'll see Lady Liberty. And she has scales which are balanced, but it's one thing that most people fail to look at and ponder over when you look at that logo. It's that her eyes have been blinded.
Yeah.
So when the Bible says God hates an unjust balance, he hates it because unjust balances are always a peek from under the blindfold.
Yes. Yes.
God does not want you measuring him. He don't want you measuring what he is and how he's to operate in your life. You can never decide what God is.
Yes.
Or what he wants to be. You never can. Jacob, look at what Jacob's internal issue was with himself. But he wrestled with God. Ain't that something? A wrestling or versus means that two people have an opposing opinion. Two teams have an opposing opinion. We're the best. No, we're the best. But only one can win.
Yeah.
That's why Paul said many compete, but only one can win the prize.
Yeah.
And God wins all the time.
Yes. Amen.
We may think we've won something and got away from it. We haven't. God wins all the time.
Yeah.
Israel was not greeted with peace in the promised land because they were not obedient on the journey to it. See, we think because we've come a long way and now it's our time that there's nothing to fight in it. But you're going to fight because of the journey. Your journey will reveal your enemies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You remember when God first told them to go to that place, no one was in it. No one was in it when God told them to go. It took them 40 years to get there because of their own disobedience, which gave time for their enemies to rise up and take over. Somebody is sitting in your spot right now. Why? Because you won't occupy. Now, you might say, well, they're there illegally. No, they're not. The Bible says the word of the Lord will not return unto him void.
Right.
So if you're not doing it, somebody has to.
Yeah.
You know, I got this invention. And you still got it, but it's in your hand.
Yeah.
The problem with you having it is no one else has it.
Right.
And you know what ends up happening? And then years later, somebody come out with it. Oh, that was my invention. No, it wasn't. It was God's.
Yeah.
You wasn't occupying the space. So somebody else had to. All right?
Yeah.
How you travel determines how you live. How you travel determines how you live. You a complainer? You will complain in your promise. You exercise and journey what you will do in your manifested promise.
Yeah.
Whatever you exercise the most. You know, I often tell my athletes, work on the proper mechanics in practice. Think in practice so you don't have to think at meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do something long enough, it becomes a part of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you fail to do it, I watch them sometime. I get frustrated as a coach, the same way I do as a pastor. Ain't that something? But I watch them when they're doing drills. And I'm like, why are you not doing the drill right? Oh, they're talking to each other about some ugly girl or some ugly boy in school more than they tended to what they need to tend to. And then when they get to the meets, wonder why. Well, I just had two of them called me just a few minutes ago. Well, the race wasn't as good as it should have been. And you know, the first question I always ask, well, why wasn't the race as good as it should have been? You know what the favorite one is? Oh, I could have went faster. No, you couldn't. If you could have went faster, you would have went faster. Now you went as fast as what you rehearsed would allow you to go.
Yeah.
I said, so the only thing to do is you got to look at what you did wrong, go back, practice, work on it.
Yep.
Come back to the meet. Shouldn't be thinking about it, because the more you think about it, the less you're doing it.
Yep.
All right? Now, this is really the note that I want to get to. Y'all got time?
Yeah.
We got time.
You know, because, you know, y'all have been in the services where the preacher, he talked for like an hour. And he's like, all right, turn your Bibles. You
Yeah.
be like, hold on, wait a minute.
That's your
What did he just do?
Yeah.
It's not long. I promise. In Western Europe, in AD 400s to around 900s, this is a period that we call the Dark Ages. Any of you that have ever studied history and really, you know, and not just enough to pass the course, any of you that studied history understand this, that history repeats itself.
Yeah.
It is a cycle that you cannot change. You can only change what you mean in it.
Yeah.
And your position in it. That's the only thing you can change. Someone is going to die today.
Yeah. Yep. Fine.
Somebody gonna jump off a bridge somewhere. Somebody gonna jump off a building. Somebody gonna take a handgun and put it to their temple and pull the trigger. Somebody gonna do it. Now, you might say, well, I'll never do that. But watch this. If you audition for the part long enough,
Yeah.
you'll do anything.
Yeah.
You ever went through that phase? I'll never.
Yeah.
And then some of the stuff you say you never do, you don't did 50 times over. Well, during the Dark Ages, there were two things that people really forsook during those times. That is education. Now I'm gonna come back to education because some of y'all, it ain't the education you think. That's education and moral standards. It became more about how you felt. People lived by how they felt more than what they knew is right. So how I felt this day, that's how I lived. So if you look at BC 1380 to about 1000 BC. That was the Dark Ages for the Israelites. And if you remember, can anybody tell me what was the Israelites' Dark Age? What in the wilderness? Now think about it. No education, and I forgot to come back to education. The education that they received during this time had nothing to do with what we think about now, education. When we tell our children to go get an education, what we're actually telling them, we need you to go get endeared to the world. That's what we're actually saying. The original education system started with the Bible.
Yeah.
If you go back and look throughout history, the first and only textbook that was in the USA in its education system was the Bible.
It's true.
That was the only textbook. Everything else was taught from just, the teacher teaching mathematics. But the only book that the students carried home was the Bible. All right? So you got to think it from that. So education and the moral compass had dropped. What do you think we see that at? What period?
Judges?
The Judges. The book of Judges shows us the dark age period of the Israelites. And it's very self-explanatory. They had to have judges because there was so much foolishness going on that they had to have people to make sure stuff stayed in order. So, when you see that, whatever happens to Israel every time they disobey the Lord, what happens to them?
Go in slavery.
Sometimes slavery.
They go into captivity, into a slavery. They actually go into a slavery. Every time they disobeyed what the Lord put before them, they were always taken in by their enemies. Now watch this. The enemies don't design themselves.
Right.
Where do we think enemies come from? Oh, y'all scared to say it, ain't you? God creates your enemies.
Yeah.
That's real.
And it's in direct proportion to your disobedience to Him.
Yeah.
So as you delay Him, He builds up your enemy. And then your enemy take you captive. Why? So you can cry out to Him.
Yeah.
Isn't it God creates your cry?
Yeah.
The only reason why you're going after God as hard as you are is because He created a circumstance to make you look back at Him again. You know, it's a hard thing to unseat a lie once it's been told for so many generations.
Right.
And the lie that Lucifer, Satan, the devil has some power over you. He ain't got no power over you. You gave it to him.
Yeah.
You handed it over.
Yeah.
See, our problem is we've been taught down through the years the only thing we have to do is snap our fingers, go pray for 6 hours, take some oil and throw it all over everything. But Serene gave me some, because my hands were ashy. And she gave me some oil, and I'm up there trying to play the keyboard on the oil, and my hand just slipping off the notes. I'm like, this. But we do all of this stuff trying to manipulate God.
Yeah.
Casting out devils with oil. Did the devil get in there with oil?
Right.
He didn't go in with oil.
No.
How are you coming out with oil? Now, I'm not preaching against oil because we use oil.
Yeah.
But it's only a contact of faith to remind us of
Yeah.
what the truth is.
Yeah.
The oil itself ain't got no power.
Right.
Matter of fact, I started cooking with mine. It made my pancakes taste better. I use olive oil to cook my pancakes.
Make your hair wave.
But until you can get rid of the myths and the stuff that make us religious, we come to church, we want to conjure up God. So how do we conjure up God? Everybody just lift your hands. Hallelujah. Come on, somebody say yes. Yes. Yes.
Stop.
And then you know how powerful we feel in here? Like, oh my goodness. We be walking each other in the name of Jesus. Ooh. They get home and that bill come out the mailbox and lay hands on you.
Yeah.
You depressed for 8 days. You know what? I said a long time ago, I'm through with the fantasy.
Yeah.
God, what is your way? What do you want? What is you? What's not you?
Yeah.
So that I don't fight you thinking it's the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real.
If I have, if I don't have, I'm content. Now, Paul was in jail when he wrote this.
Yeah.
He was in jail waiting to be beheaded.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I'm content. You see how far we are off? We ain't content if they don't get our steak right at the restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't understand why it's so hard. They've been back there 8 hours. cooking the thing and still can't get it right. Now the whole meal messed up. You mad the rest of the day. Child say something. What? All because your steak ain't done right.
We do.
Now we mad the rest of the day. Ain't nothing going right. Somebody asks you a question about the Bible. What was Jesus talking about? I don't know. Did you ask him? But the Dark Ages was a time where people they did what they wanted to. There was really no structure that said this was right, this is wrong. We're in a dark age right now in our society. There's no defined boundaries about what's right and what's wrong. It's do as you feel.
Yes.
And you know what the church is doing? Following right along with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
We want God to be easy. But yet we want him to do complicated things for us. Work out this mess that I've made, Lord. He said, okay, I'll work it out. But you're going to pay something for this.
Yes, you are.
You sold it, so reap it.
Yeah.
See, our problem is we think Keith Sweat and God are talking the same love. You know, that's what we do now. We treat the love of God the same way we do when we talk about being with somebody.
Yes. That's true.
I mean, we get so
Stop.
You can't deal with God the same way you deal with your lover. It's a different type of love.
Yes.
Don't you know that there is no Greek word for the way that we describe love? There is no Greek word for it. As a matter of fact, the first century church would look at us strange the way that we talk about love. They'd be like, what is that? Because what we've done, we've softened it and made it a human interpretation out of it.
Yeah.
And that human interpretation always has to do with making us comfortable.
Yep.
I just need somebody to love me. There's no one to love me. They wouldn't have understood. The Romans wouldn't have understood what you were talking about. What's wrong with her? I said to a young lady once, she came and she was telling me, she said, well, I just don't think my husband loves me. I was like, well, why would you say that? Well, he just don't love me. I need love. And I asked her a simple question. I said, do you have love?
Ooh.
She's like, what do you mean? I said, there's a principle in the Bible that says, to him that hath will be given, to him that hath not will be taken. So you can't ask for what you don't have.
Ooh.
So if the love that you have in life has to come from somebody, then you'll never receive it. If you can't find a love on the inside of you first, you will never connect with the one on the outside.
Yeah. That's real.
So even if he did this, this, and this, you will eventually elevate it to something else. Well, he don't do this.
Yeah.
Well, he start doing that. Well, I still understand. Well, I want you to want to do it. I don't want to do it. You told me you wanted this and I got it for you.
Yeah.
Why do I have to want?
Yeah. Come on.
Y'all remember the movie White Man Can't Jump?
Yeah.
In that bedroom part where she talking about, well, if I say I'm thirsty, he said, well, I'll go get you a glass of water. She was like, no, I want you to identify with my thirst. And he was sitting there like, I want your thirst. I don't want nothing to drink. Why got to identify with your thirst.
Instead of going to get you some water.
Instead of just going to get you some water, now you're drinking the water and you ain't thirsty no more.
You're right.
But see, when we misidentify things, the Bible says, he that hunger and thirsts after righteousness shall be filled. So when you don't hunger and thirst the right way, you will never be satisfied.
Yeah.
You can have more success than you ever dreamed of. But if it's not the right way, you're going to still... That's why rich men keep trying to gain another $1 billion. You got $8 billion. But man, I got to make that paper. What? But that's what happens to us. And all of us go through it.
Yeah.
All of us go through it. That's why we have to constantly keep check on ourselves. Because there's a part of you, I don't care how many of you have spoken in tongues before? Some of y'all, the way that y'all talk, sometimes you get mad. You speaking in tongues, you raise your hand.
It's the other ones.
But you ever spoken in tongues before? You would consider yourself spiritual. Right? But watch this. If I took one of them switches that my mom used to get off the tree, and they used to braid them. I'm like, Mom, why you gotta braid them? Just cut the little other piece off. Why you gotta braid them together? That's too much work. But watch this. If someone hits you with that switch, do you think your spirituality gonna stop the pain?
No.
Lord, I'm in the zone with Jesus. Pop!
Hit all you want.
Hit all you want. I'm dead. No, that's gonna bring you right out the spirit.
Right out. Clean out.
You'll be right there. What? No.
Yeah.
Your vocabulary and everything gonna change.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Some of y'all vocabulary changed without pain. So there's a human part of you that you will always have to contend with, and that you will always have to bring subject to the truth. You're not going to feel like you feel right now all the time.
Right.
During the Dark Ages, this is what people did. They moved according to how they felt. So they would relinquish the truth. What was right was not an issue anymore. What was wrong was not an issue. The same way in our society. That's why your kids can swat back at you, and you see these parents now. They got the kids swat back at them, and the parent just sit and look at them. Man, I'm not looking. We going to it, and I promise you, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
I tell my kids nowadays. My son's 6'5". I said, son, let me tell you something. My wisdom from all the years I've been here, you might be bigger than me, but trust me, I'm going to find a way to win.
Yep.
I don't care if a baseball bat has to be called in the spirit, or whatever. I'm going to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you just going to look at your height, but I'm going to look at everything that's around me.
Yeah.
Trophy,
Yeah.
plaque, all of them are game.
Wow. Yeah, everything.
Refrigerator stuff.
Oh, God. History repeats itself by the undeniable nature of man. It just is. The only thing that's different the next time around, if it's going to be different, is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Situations are, people will always try you.
They gonna try me.
There will always be people who, no matter what, no matter how much it's been proven that this is the case, they will always fight against it.
Yeah.
It's always. Some people have run into a wall 800 times. 801 is going to be different in their eyes.
Wow.
It's going to always be. What we must do at this point is decide whether we are the remnant.
Yeah.
Because in every instance where the people went away from God.
Yeah.
He always had a remnant, a few.
Yeah.
And those few were heavily persecuted.
Yeah.
And this is where our dilemma is. When we talk about productively living in God, is how much persecution can you take? Because that's part of your productivity. Jesus said that the world hated me, therefore they hate you. If the world loves you, why?
Yes.
I heard a preacher say that if you are in despair, you're supposed to be as a Christian. And in my mind, I'm like, the devil are you talking about? He said, if you feel cast down, you're supposed to be. And I'm like, that don't even sound right. But it don't sound right because we heard for so long that God has given us this, that, and the other. We're to drive this, that, and the other. We're to live in this, that, and the other. That we started looking more like the world in our pursuit. It's not that we can't have nice things. I believe that we can have nice things. But I don't think those nice things should define us.
Right.
You should be okay if you have to twist the ignition 3 times. Just like you would if it just came on the first time.
Right.
That's content. That's what Paul was talking about. He said, not until we find that contentment can we really be free from the cares of life.
Yep.
We can't be. You can't try to compete with the world to show that you're blessed.
Right.
You're trying to make everybody believe that God has this whatever favor in your life because you got all these things.
Yeah.
That's not the way this works.
Oh.
Yep. That's true.
It goes back to the point where Paul was telling me even the demons believe.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you believe, you love. It's got to be something. What makes you stand out as God's people?
Yes.
Outside of the cars you drive, the houses we live in, the clothes we wear, and even the religious rhetoric that we perform on Sundays.
Right.
But the era of the judges in Hebrews history is a type of dark ages. It's like what we live in. You are no different than the people from the past. The things that we go through. We got more things, but we elevate. Still, our action is still on the same planes that it's been. When we play with video games, it's the same as when we play with sticks. They can become a distraction to the whole us growing. In order for you to live and be productive at it, you have to take time to evaluate where you are. Evaluate the morals by which you live. We got these new religious leaders coming out now. Some of them, they say they got enlightened because now they say they don't think about the things they do wrong anymore. They just live. And they're teaching people that now, oh, don't worry about anything, just live. Oh, if you're going to do something, don't do it for God, do it for yourself. We got preachers on television telling us that now. Oh, if you're going to do something good, don't do it for the Lord, do it for yourself. But it tells us, the scriptures plainly tell us to do everything as unto the Lord.
Yeah.
If a wife is going to submit to a husband, you know why she's going to do it? As unto the Lord.
Yeah.
If a husband's going to love his wife, he's going to do it as Christ loved the church. Everything's going to be as unto the Lord if it's going to be right.
Yeah.
When we do it as unto ourselves, then it becomes a tug of war.
Yeah.
Now we're fighting every week, every day, fighting with our children. I don't fight with my children no more. I tell them, get out my face. Get out my face, and then when the smoke settles, and I'm right, I ain't gonna save you. You're gonna go through it.
Yep.
And that's how we gotta live. We gotta train up our children in the way that they should go. Serene's, what you 25 now? 25, are you 20? Auden is 22. I ain't trying to run around after no children. I've taught them. Now, they still run after us.
Yes.
Hush. But I've taught them. I've trained them in the way that they should go. Now I got to sit back and allow God to do it, because why? If I get to concentrate on them too much, I'll get off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every man must work out his own soul salvation with fear and trembling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't wonder whether Ari's going to be saved. Serena, we still trying to work on her. There's a couple of altars. She'll be there. But in order to live productively, you have to find out what ails you.
Yeah.
Know what gets you off.
Yep.
If you can't drink, stop drinking.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Well, it's not a sin to drink, but you get drunk all the time.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yes.
Some things are not wrong, but in your life they're not right.
Ooh. That's right.
You don't need to do everything you're permitted to do.
Yes. That's good.
There's certain things within my own conviction that I know I don't do that. I don't condemn others for doing it, but I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because I know where it carries me.
Yeah.
That's what you must assess, where things carry you.
Yes.
Because if they take you away from God, you got to get rid of them.
Yes.
You got to get rid of things that take you away from God. And watch this. Stop looking for reasons that you can, and find the reasons that you don't have to.
Yes.
It's good.
That's right.
Stop looking for reasons and loopholes on how you can pull this into your life, how you can get away with this, how you can do that, and start finding the reasons why you don't have to, why you don't need it. When you find out that you don't need it, it has just lost its power
Yes.
in and over your life.
Yes.
Okay, God, how does me doing this glorify you?
Yeah.
That's what you got to find.
Yeah.
Because if you look for excuses, guys, they are readily available.
Yeah.
You'll find all kind of reasons why you can do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And then when it comes time to call on the power,
Yes.
can't nobody get through. We got to have 8 hours of constant prayer in order to get something working.
Yeah.
That's not how we're supposed to operate.
Oh.
We're supposed to have the power because we've operated in it
Yes.
before the time to use it.